Greetings everybody, merlyn.silva here on the Ableton Certified Trainer Nordic Community channel. Today I've got a tutorial video for you about making a MIDI FX Rack that you can use both on stage as a jamming tool and also in the studio as a way of creating some pretty far out sound design. I get a lot of use out of this kind of thing myself, and it's also a great opportunity to think about how MIDI works and how we might implement or hack it to use in our creative process. Wicked. So first off, we're going to check out a video of me just tweaking some knobs and demonstrating what this kind of thing could do, and then we're going to go step by step through the process of building this. So strap in and let's get to it. Cool, so let's make this rack. This is the kit I was using. So all of my pads here are in one-shot mode. And on top of that, they're all set to gate instead of trigger for the playback. And this will mean that the MIDI notes we put in will affect the length of the sample playback. If it's set to trigger, the whole sample will simply play back every time a note is entered. So in gate mode, we get to use MIDI to dictate how long the sample rings out for. We can cheat. Instead of doing this 15 times, I can just copy the value to siblings. So now all of these are set to gate. Wicked. Also, I've got quite a lot of volume equals velocity. This is really handy as well, because then we can use velocity to dictate the volume of things. Wicked. Let's actually start there. So to make this rack, and I'm going to go pretty fast through this because this can take a little while and I don't want this video to go on forever. Feel free, of course, to pause and follow along. I'm going to map. I've just put the velocity in a MIDI FX Rack, and I'm going to map the out high to macro 8. And we're going to call this volume. This simply acts as a volume control. Let's press play. Cool, so nothing super spicy or interesting there, but that's really useful. Okay, so step 2, we're going to add a random device before that. And this in itself is lots of fun. I'm going to map this to macro 4, call it random. And I'm going to give that a cool color. Let's turn that up. So it randomizes all of the notes, kind of creating, I guess, drum fills. Another thing we can see when I press play is that some of the new randomized notes are outside of our play range. I think silence is always kind of helpful with rhythm, but we could play around with the settings here and see if we can avoid that. Cool, I'll keep it like that for now. Wicked, let's minimize the things we're not using because this gets quite hectic. Okay, now I'm going to do something a bit more fun. We're going to add the glitchiness to this rack, and we're going to do that using an arpeggiator. I'm going to put this quite near the beginning of the rack, and I'm going to set it to 3. So if I just hold down a note now, cool. So on its own, I can modulate how fast the note repeats as I'm holding it down. I might set this gate to 100. Cool, so that's going to be lots of fun. Let's map that to macro 2. And now I have a slight issue. At the lowest part, it's still acting a lot. I don't think that's very intuitive. Let's flip that range to begin with. And finally, what I'm going to want to do is map the arpeggiator's on button to the same knob, because I want this arpeggiator completely off when the knob is all the way at its lowest value. I can do that by simply, here up in the mapping section, using a minimum value as 1, and a maximum value of 0. So now when we turn it, it switches on. Cool. Something that might be fun about that is to maybe change the decay, the way that the glitchy sounds decay away. Oh, I got to turn velocity on here. That could be useful when jamming around. We'll call that glitch decay. And we'll call this glitch. Let's give it funky colors again. And we might map this gate to it, actually. I think that's what I did last time. Sweet. Okay, so we've got a glitchy knob to play with, a glitch, kind of a control over the length of that, and a random knob. Let's get a bit boring again. Let's get our note length and put that at the beginning and map that to the first macro. Spacey. Cool. So we got a few cool things happening here. Let's do a few more practical things that we might use in a performance environment. I'm going to be really boring. I don't think it's boring. I think it's really cool. But it's not exactly the most interesting thing in the world to demonstrate. I'm going to get an empty MIDI FX Rack. I'm going to create a chain. And I'm going to drag the key range of that chain down to E1. As you can hear, or as you can maybe see, I've filtered out all of the drum hits apart from the kick and the snare. I'm going to map that to macro 5 and call it KS solo, kick, snare, solo, give it a color. And now I have a knob to kind of simplify my pattern. Actually, that might be prudent to do at the beginning of the chain. So here it is. Sweet. So what else can we do? Let's get the scale device. We always think of this device as a way of, well, keeping our melodies and harmonies in a quantized to a certain scale. But I like the idea as well that this could be used differently in MIDI. So at the moment, if we have a look at this, we can see that the kick is this button here, and well, this square, and the snare is this. So let's swap those to start with so you see what I mean. Cool. If I just randomly click on stuff and mess up this pattern that it's come with, I might find that, well, funny things happen. Cool. Also, I can use this bass to change what MIDI notes these squares refer to. So I've got different variations of my pattern. Super cool. I'm going to map that to macro 6. And I'm also going to map this. Once again, we're going to go in the mapping section. I'm going to say that the minimum on is 1, maximum is 0. I can call this variation. Again, a funky color. And when it's all the way over here, it's off. And then I can scroll through different variations. You know what? I think this glitch decay thing didn't work quite the way I want. Let's invert this range again. Cool, that's more like it. So what else have we got going on? We got one macro left. Let's go in our MIDI effects for some inspiration, because there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do here, and I wanted to keep it to 8 macros because that's what many of us have. You could, for example, randomize the velocity. Let's put that in here. We could almost actually use that here with the random button. That could be kind of cool. Another thing you could do, for example, if you wanted to use this 7th macro, is use note echo. Let's put it to, yeah, like kind of triplets. Kind of ghost note situation. You could change the pitch so that the hits change as the echoes occur. Lots and lots of fun. And finally, what you could also do is create a kind of stutter. We've got a nice kind of arrhythmic glitch thing here. Let's use another arpeggiator. And we're going to set it to 16th notes. And maybe the steps are going to be set to 1. Cool, so we can get some awesome patterns out of this. I'm going to also map this rate to the same macro here. While all that was going on, I set the steps to 1 and the distance to 1. So every time the arpeggiator repeats a note, it goes up 1 step, 1 semitone. So we need to finish off by controlling these mappings. Once again, the device on is 1 and 0. And the synced rate, I think we're going to start at, for example, 8th notes and go all the way up to, 128th notes. wonky as hell. So there you have it. As you can see, we could go on. We could add more macros here in Live 11 and add more ideas, and we could even add some audio effects and kind of make a mega rack by dragging this one in here. I won't do that today. I hope you've enjoyed this and that it's given you at least some good ideas. I've had personally loads of use out of this kind of rack and this approach to using MIDI and drums. I've played whole concerts using just this and some simplers. It can go a long way and it's really helpful in the studio as well. So thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.